All right, so welcome. And I'd like to begin this by doing a little grounding meditation. Let's begin by closing your eyes, letting your feet touch the floor, getting as close to Mother Earth as possible. Allow your shoulders to drop down. And bring your awareness to your breath. Don't change your breathing in any way. Simply notice your breath right now in this moment. And notice how the breath enters your body. And then notice as well how it leaves. And with each breath, bring your awareness to the fact that your chest rises and falls. And then notice what's happening in your jaw. You might want to move your jaw from side to side a little bit to relax it. And where are your shoulders now? Drop them away from your ears. And right about now, how is your chest and your belly feeling? Does it seem to feel a little bit more relaxed than it was a few moments ago? And if it's not, bring that breath all the way down through your chest into your belly, allowing it to spiral through your belly and softening it. And how are your hips? Are your hips feeling more relaxed? Your legs? And are you aware what is beneath your feet? And again, bring that breath in and all the way down to the bottom of your feet. And with your next breath, take a deep breath in and let it out with a loud sigh. Deep breath in. And let's take 2 more of those deep breaths in. And one more. Allow your eyes to gently open, looking at each other, and lift the corners of your mouth upward. Welcome. Welcome back. Yeah, nice to see everybody. So thank you again for coming. I'd like to invite Pam to give us a little forecast for the next month or however long you want to give us.
I'm only going to go for several weeks. Okay, and if you start to lose me, let me know and I'll turn my video off if the connection's unstable. So we're coming off the new moon in Scorpio that happened on Sunday. So this is the waxing moon cycle, and this week actually is very rich, very fecund, for planting in your intention and really solidifying what you desire. It's highly emotionally charged. And so what's important is to think in terms of what is integral to my peace, my well-being, and manifestation of love. And everything else is just noise. So to concentrate on the heart of what it is you really believe and want to give birth, rebirth to in this deep time of year when light is ebbing and we're really hunkering down into winter and thinking about what are we incubating, what are we creating. Now, next week is more fraught, more volatile, more up and down energy. And we're heading towards a lunar eclipse that happens on November 30th. And that lunar eclipse is when the Sagittarius sun lights the full moon in Gemini. And so I see this as being, are we ready to imbue information with knowledge and wisdom? We live in the information age. There's a lot of noise, constant messages coming through. And the question is, how much knowledge and wisdom are we absorbing from all that chatter? So this eclipse is an opportunity for us to kind of steep that information and see if we're really drinking from the cup of wisdom. And one reason this is so important is as we head into the month of December, there's another eclipse. And that eclipse is part of what we call a Saros cycle. So it's a recurring eclipse. It happens every 18 years and change. And so what that eclipse is the day before our next meeting. And that's a solar eclipse new moon in the sign of Sagittarius. And it is a very reactive, emotionally charged energy. So tempers are a bit high right now. I'm sorry, Lola's moving around. Tempers are a bit high right now. And so that's why it's so important to be in control of your emotion. Because when we're in control of our emotion, we can laser focus direction. Otherwise, we're reacting and we're not as effective. So it's important to really gather that into your what you want to cook and be able to serve as we go into the next month. And at that point in time, be able to respond with absolute clarity and listen well, because that's part of our communication arc that needs to be improved in not only how we articulate, but how we listen and absorb information and distill it down to wisdom. So those are my thoughts.
Oof. Okay. Thanks, Pam. And I just want to give you a heads up as to what's coming up in November. We have Michelle Levy, who is one of our members, and she's going to be talking about labyrinths and the use of labyrinths to help with healing and relaxation. And it's going to be kind of fun because she's asking people to bring crayons and construction paper and scissors, so that we'll be doing a lot of interactive playtime. So again, if you can just mute yourself, and I'm going to introduce, in January, we're going to be having a group of astrologers who are going to be giving us a bigger forecast as to what's coming down.
Of 2021, Jenny Stone and Colin McPhillamy will be joining me. So that'll be fun.
And those are always kind of neat. So I'd like to, okay, in January, that's January. February, we're inviting Kat Guthrie and Kevin Spaeth, who are going to be talking about sacred sexuality. They run a lovely couples group and getting people to talk about sexuality and getting, well, I can't even say what they're doing because I've never attended one of their events, but it should be very interesting. And then there's going to be, I think I've got speakers through June. So if you'd like to speak, let me know and I'll get you on the books. So where's Joan? I've got, my view is on speaker view. So whoever's talking is going to be coming up in my screen. So I'd like to introduce
Kathy, I just want to add, if anybody has questions when Joan's speaking, so that you want to capture them when you're thinking about them, you can just put it in chat and we'll keep an eye on that for when Joan opens it up to be more conversational. Okay.
Good. All righty, Joan, anybody who has read what we put up on the invitation and here it is. You grew up in a metaphysical family. I'd love to hear more about that. And I know that you do a lot of work down at the Casey Center, but if you'd like to introduce yourself, I would love to hear more about who are you, Joan?
Oh my God, that's a big question. Depends on my mood, I think for everybody, when you list your accomplishments, you go, wow, I did a lot. But when you're in that mood of I didn't do this or that, you're somebody else. So I was forced into being a psychic because I failed at my day jobs. So sometimes there's a road that's hidden for you. I still had other pursuits I wanted to do, but it just wasn't happening. I was, my father was we had the Edgar Casey books at home and Fate magazine. My mom had prophetic dreams, and my aunt was a psychic. She read the cards from the 9 to the ace, very limited. And I grew up watching that. I never, ever expected that I would be doing it. It wasn't like I was close to my aunt and I had to do this. But I did have an interesting thing. I was very quiet and very good student, and because I didn't talk. I mean, no one believes me. And I tell shy kids, I get paid to talk. Don't worry. You don't have to say anything now. So I remember in the 7th grade, my sister, my oldest sister, I'm the baby, was her major was education, her minor was psychology. Now, I didn't go out and play like everybody else. I loved reading all her books, anything from Eric Fromm. I remember she had this big textbook, Abnormal Psychology, and they had cases of people's, schizophrenia, this and that. Unfortunately, at that time, which took quite a while, I'm older, I'm a senior, but at that time in the 60s, the reasons for schizophrenia and the few cases for autism, believe it or not, was a cold mother. How insulting is that? So we've come a long way. Now they do biochemistry and they see it's more of it could be physical and there's more to it than that simple thing. So that energy of looking at psychology was interesting to me, and I was an observer. And I actually was good in math. I mean, I didn't do a calculus. I could have, but I decided not to. But I was in a day job where they needed to have the bookkeeping done, and everyone was terrified of the math. I said, oh, that's easy, I'll do it. And I got trained, and it was a good skill. It helped me survive during times when, I've been in and out of jobs. That's why this stability with being a psychic is a gift to me. the way I got into the numerology was something just, a woman called me up and said, I'm a hypnotherapist. And I said, and I was studying hypnotherapy and I was a little shy to do it. I said, and she wanted to read. I said, no, 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 let's do a barter. And when I met her in Manhattan, she opened the door. She looked like my mom who passed. She was little, petite with red hair. And she was also a numerologist. And she taught me. And it was great because it resonated with me. Not everyone could do it. Like I have certain skills as a psychic. I'm not going to do ghost hunting. You could say, but you talk to the dead people. It's a different feel. There's people who love going in these old homes or whatever, and they get the history of it. I pan it out. So we all have different things. But the numbers was just something that felt home. And I don't do a big in-depth chart for people. Example, even tonight, I'm not going to do your name. Now, let me just explain that numerology is based on the observations from ancient Judaism. Now, people always looked at cycles in the old days because you had a farm. The Chinese have their astrology. We're going into the year of the ox. We had the year of the rat, and look at the rats were starving. So that's an interesting thing that it's this undercurrent of something was happening. Pam may know more than me. So people did observe cycles, and numerology, when you really go deep, has inner cycles. They also realized that all the letters had a vibration and they were connected to the numbers 1 through 9. The 0 is a funny number that enhances whatever number it's with, because we're adding, so we can't add and get a 0. So we only have 1 through 9, but if the 0 is next to a 1, you're going to enhance the qualities of the 1. So letters are important too, but today's discussion won't be that. The first thing I want to say of an observation, an American observation, this actually was written about a lot after President Kennedy was assassinated. Somebody went through the beginning of our presidency since Washington and looked and noticed this wild pattern that every year that had a 0, 1890, 1880, 1960, 2020. First, it was the observation that the president who's elected in that year leaves office, whether through assassination, health, or impeachment. Nixon left in a 0 year. But it twisted when, I'm not going to remember the dates, Al Gore and Reagan was attempted assassination, but then he didn't remember he was president. So luckily it shifted. He was in a 0 year. Al Gore was a cuckoo election, 0 year. And this I knew was going to be a little crazy because it's the nature, and because now it's unpredictable of what it would be. Now, I was with a panel of astrologers and Pam was there. For the Great American solar eclipse, and the astrologers all felt that Trump was going to leave office. But actually, well, he has a month. We don't know what's happening. So, but in this election, let's hope it's just the cuckoo-ness of it and not that Biden gets sick or assassinated or impeached. So, but we don't know because it changed. And I'm not going to say that's numerology, but that is a pattern people observed, and you'll hear about it. Some people say it's an old curse by a Native American Indian. I don't know. I don't know where it stems from, but that's all I can say about it. Yes, we had an unusual year. I'm going to see if we could see this. You have some pages from me. All right. Now, during this year, I found that universally, that means everyone experiences the vibration of the 2020. A lot of people observed that we were a master number this year, but actually we weren't, because you have to reduce it. It did not reduce to a 22, it reduced to a 4. 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 0. And the 4-year was actually perfect for COVID because it's about being locked in, boxed in, restrictions, budget cuts, and unfortunately people felt that. But it's also about discipline, steadfast, and like keep going. It's like you don't get the raise this year, but keep going because you're building a foundation. How many times did we talk about how schools should be more on the internet? And we never did it. And then we were forced to do it. Very, very difficult. I spoke with teachers and the demands because they're learning the technology at the same time. And the kids, they want to, it's tough. But the 4-year was also this foundation for, in a way, new things. Look, we did an incredible thing to focus, which that vision to focus on even looking at health. Who's not getting health insurance? Native American Indians were dying a lot from this, but yet we had a team that we praised the frontliners of doctors and healers because we had to look at them instead of looking at, the music industry is quiet right now and things like that. So very interesting. Even in your own personal year, the 4 is not the easiest year because it's something where you feel you're not moving forward. You're stuck in the mud, but you keep treading to get out of the mud. And that's what we're doing. And you also have to just say, grin and bear it. I'll get through this. Call upon your strength, which we all have to do. And some people have unbearable things, no job for 2 people and deaths in their family. Horrible. But somehow we have to build this foundation. Now, next year, do you see the 2025 or on your sheets? Now, this is going to be really different. It's very different than the 4 of, instead of being restricted, we're expanded. So expansions, yes, we will be getting out of the house. Yay. And now it's risk and it's change. Maybe we'll have, example, reforms for the police. We're not defunding it, but maybe we'll have them, all right, maybe use the taser instead of the bullet, things like that. And also maybe have more sensitivity. Whenever I have cards with someone who's married to a policeman, I go, oh God, he sees things you don't even know. More compassion for their psychological stress and things like that. Now, we also have freedom, but one of the things I thought of wasn't just COVID freedom. People are looking at reforms, but I also, and I see it on the news, the people who want freedom are also people who are those guys who come in with the guns. I'm free to carry my big gun. I'm free to defend, macho white guys. They have freedoms too, and they're going to voice it next year. So just don't think it's just freedom for your cause. It's going to be everybody, and it's excess. So, we were worried. We all gained weight this year, but we better watch it next year. But excess could even be, since we were starved. Saying if these all, how do I put it without? Well, you're starved for affection, romance. So we may be a loose cannon next year. But I think there's going to be innovations that we can. We learned a lot this year, and as a collective consciousness, oh my God, there's going to be a renaissance in the arts. I was lucky that I took advantage of the lockdown because I went back to a career I thought I was going to do, but the psychic work took over. Part of me doesn't even want to say it, but I was able to take classes in it, and there was a whole community. Because I'm more of an isolated, I'm a writer, and you're right and you're isolated. But this groups that I joined, one was, as soon as March hit, I took this crazy thing, how to write the 30-day challenge. You could write a play in 30 days. I said, that's crazy. But they had very brief, maybe 2 sentences of an assignment that they broke it down. The first assignment, write 3 locations. Don't think of the big picture. This is the details of the 4-year. Write that. And it was so tiny, each increment, that I actually had the beginning, middle, and end of a play. Now I always I did write dialogues younger and stuff like that, but I said, this was increments, which the 4-year is. And then I joined these, I wasn't coming from theater, but that's who was doing the writing. And they are so excited about virtual theater that they're doing. Oh my God, they were filming with the camera and even to the computer. So there's this whole new way of thinking and bringing people together, and in other areas as well, you know? So I think there's going to be new ways of joining forces. I don't drive, so to me to have a Zoom class was very convenient. But next year, we're going to see some changes. And I think there's going to be some celebrations. So, there's always a time to plant, a time to harvest. And I never get upset, even if people said, it doesn't matter who's your candidate, it changes. And there's always a pendulum in the US. It's, so it's like time for this, time for that, and I think we have to just accept that, so this is the cycle, and there'll be other things that you don't agree with, but it slowly ebbs and what's the opposite of ebb? I forgot. Ebbs and I forgot what low tide. I don't know that. All right. So that's also in your life. And what's amazing about, gotta bear with me. I have a chronic sinus issue going on since March. So I don't have COVID. I took a test and but it's a plumbing issue. So it's kind of blocked. Okay, hold on. My specialty with slippery elm, honey, and vitamins. So in our own life, we have cycles, and it's really, self-awareness helps, right? It's not an easy life out there. When should I move? When should I buy a house? When should I quit my job? Or when should I, it's something where it has helped me. Now, it doesn't mean I'm so strict that I won't sign a contract because of the month. I don't even look at the month and week of what's going on. Because I think I don't have that grounding numbers. So I'm not going to be so scheduled and all that. And also being an Aries, I'm up here and grounding to these minutiae details. I'm just look at the big picture. Now, I think we're all going to get excited to see, and I will review everybody's numbers because you want to see what's headed for you. All right. So if you have my pages, if you don't, that's all right. I'm going to see if you could just look at, this is called the personal year. You could do this in your head. You don't need paper and a pen, okay? Because it's very elementary math, okay? So what it is, first let's do your month and your day. Everybody add their month and day, but I'm sorry. And when you do this math, except for the 11, the 22, and I doubt if you'll get a 33, reduce it to a single digit. Example, 3 plus 11, the March 11th is 5, okay? So it's gonna be, yes, add them, add them. Add your month and day. Maybe I could call on someone, anybody, all right, 22, well, actually the 22, I was wrong. On this calculation, it's okay to have the 22. Make it a 4 and make the 11 a 2, okay? Because we're adding it to the universal year. All right, so my month, March 25th. So 3 plus 2 plus 5. I should know this by heart. A 7 and a 3 is a 10, which is a 1, right? So I know that 2020 is a 4-year. So I'm going to add 1 plus 4, and I get a 5, okay? Is everybody comfortable with what they added? If not, raise your hand. Oh, you got a 12, okay. 1 plus 2 equals 3, okay? Anybody else? Let me look at chat. Where's chat? Okay. All right. 22 is going to be the 4 because that comes up a little later. We're adding them and you get single digits. Correct. Okay. Anyone else has a problem? 8 plus 13. So it's 8 plus 1 plus 3. That will equal 3. December 3rd. Yes, 6. Oh, good. You're all doing good. 1 plus 7 is 8. See, it's very simple math. It's not, just to clarify. Yes, now you're going to add the 4 to your single digit. Add the universal year of 4 to the digits you just came up with, and then reduce that to a single digit. So I had 1 plus 4 equals 5. December 30th, so 3 and 3 is 6, and 4 is 10. Yes, 1. That's correct. Anyone else want to share? So then I'll tell you what kind of year you have. I'm looking at, everyone okay with that? Anyone needs help? Oh, April 4th. 4 and 4 is 8, plus 4 is 12, is 3. Did you add wrong? Wait, go back to April. The April girl, April 4, 4, how'd she get 10? No, 4 plus 4 is 8, plus another 4 is a 12. 1 plus 2 is 3. I would say chocolate, white chocolate girl, add that again. All right, 8, 13. 1 and 3 is 4, right? No, not 1947. We're not doing that yet. All right. We're not adding your birth year. Top of the page, we're adding the year, the current year. So don't add your birth year. Yes, Mark, wait. Sometimes it goes fast that I don't see it. 1 and 1 is 2. No, Susan, do not add your birth year. We're not sharing our birth year. Universal year is 2020. Some of it go 2 plus 1 is a 3. 3 plus 4 is 7. Yes. Okay. So just review. Go to the top of the page. 2020. I don't care about what year you're born. Forget that. We don't want to know. All right. So you're looking at month, day plus 2020 equals. Don't make it hard for yourself. Okay. All right. So what I want to do is the current year. We'll look at next year later. Okay. So what I want to do is this. Now we have a personal year from 1 to 9. Now, did anyone by any chance, when they added everything with your personal year, with your 2020, did anyone get an 11 or a 22 at the end, at the very end? Like example, 3 plus 25 plus 22 somehow equaled 11. Anyone get that, or 22 personal year? No, I'm not seeing that. Okay. So this is just a very, very light, it's not very in-depth, things about the energy. I'm going to do your personal year. You know it. I will tell you what kind of year. All right, example. We're going to do this in order. You're in the 1 year, this year, from January to December 31st, not from your birthday to the next birthday. That's a different energy cycle. Okay, January to December. If you were in the 1 year, this was new beginnings, and that's important because last year when you were in your 9 personal year, it was the end of a 9-year cycle. The theme of the 9 years ended. It's something where maybe you said, I got to move, but you didn't know where. A relationship ended, somebody passed, or you just got bored, or a 9-year finish completion. It's all, you're finishing a lifelong project, you got published, which is great. Or maybe it's also travel. Let's, last year, not this year, last year, maybe in your 9 year, you did some traveling, and there's humanitarian energy. So this year, even if you had the worst 9 year, you lost everything, You have new beginnings. What's wonderful about that is the universe will support you to move, have a new job, a new relationship, or just the planting seeds for it. Because you're saying, what am I going to do in the next 10 years? Now, it's hard for me to, I'm a senior now, and I have to say, what am I going to do in the next 10 years? I have to take care of myself. I have to look at money and all this kind of stuff. So planting seeds. People, some people want to put their name on the senior housing. Some people want to move. So, but they may not want to move now. So the new energy, that universal energy saying, we're going to support you. It's all right. Go with the flow. And that's what's really wonderful about the numerology. Accept and receive. Now, the word Kabbalah, which is the ancient Judaism studying of mysticism, it's a very simple meaning. Who would think? All it means is to receive. We're hitting our head against the wall. I want it this way. I want this president. I don't want that, but think about it. I'm receiving abundance and accepting. It's a battery. The universe has positive and negative energy. I'm over here and I got to accept this or accept that. Go for the positive. And sometimes, it's there. I've had some little miracles of just thinking like that. And, I also had like everyone else. Oh, everything fell apart. Oh, what's next? But there's reasons for that, which we do not always understand, but it is reasons. And it jerks you around and you get tumbled like a salt shaker, So now, and the 1 year, I just want to let everyone know, if you're in it, assert your independence, even if you're married. That means you got to do some things on your own. It's a good time to start a business if you like, or if you're very codependent on your spouse, maybe you do a little trip by yourself, even if it's a retreat for 2 days. A lot of people, some women have never done, separate. I'm not saying separate, did something separate from having a partner, or even people who they don't have to be married. I've met women who they never took a vacation by themselves. Some people won't go into a restaurant to eat by themselves. Do things on your own. Me, myself, and I. And also, especially for mothers, be selfish. You're still not going to be selfish woman. You're going to just say, I got to take care of myself. What do I want? Even in COVID, a lot of people are stressed out. Saying, leave me alone, I got to recharge is all right. All right. So that's the one. But there's wonderful things for the one. You can make a step and you said, oh, look at that. There are people selling their old clothes on eBay, making money. I just found out my little ice cream table that I got at 19 for $25 with my sister with the 4 chairs. And my family was, how could you keep that thing? It's rotted and it's rusty. I found it was worth a lot of money. If I really kept it in shape or something. I said, look at that. I carried that since 19. And this thing, if it wasn't with the elements, would have been worth. So eBay, a lot of people are doing that. Now, next year is the 2. All right. All that me, myself, and alone time. Get ready. Hold on, T. Get ready for your teamwork, your partnership. The theme of the 2 year is about relationships. Now, this is tricky. The theme is about relationships, whether you come together and fall in love, deepen it, or separate. So sometimes you think, well, it's about relationships. Why am I breaking up? Because the theme is about being with another person, whether for good or bad. And sometimes breaking up is a good thing. Okay. So the 2 year, so this is when you reach out and you don't think of yourself so much. And it's like, it's also a sensitive time, peace, making peace with the family. Like, next year's Thanksgiving, we're not talking politics. So you just have to put the rule and be the peacemaker. It's an artistic year, self-expression, whatever it may be. It could be happy. Some people are afraid when you say, oh, but I don't paint. It doesn't mean painting. Just feeling sensitive, you're sensitive to other needs, and you'll be greater for, teamwork. Now that's something that everybody, I have a lot of ones I have too many ones in my name and my birthday thing. So I don't think reach out and touch. I'm more like, I got to do it myself, which other people say, you out of your mind? Why don't you invite people to go to the movies? But I'm not going to think that way. But at 2, let's do it together. Let's have lunch. So partnership, if you're going to start a business and you have a lot of 2s and you're in the 2 year, you may want to start with a partner. So if you incorporate your business, the 2 would be, I would say, you may need a partner, but we're going to look at your other numbers for that. Now the 2 also is a year that you can be too sensitive and you can't make up your mind. Every number has positive and negative. Okay. One could be too selfish. Oh, what a selfish person she was that whole year, but she needed to do it. The 2 could be, I can't make up my mind. Okay. Now we're going to the 3. Let me see. All right. Now, number 3, sometimes that could be a fun year. Creativity. A lot of times it's news of a birth, your own or somebody else's, because it's about children, and 3 represents children and joy. On a negative, the 3 is immature. Especially, I look at sometimes a client, this guy I've seen, I go, well, he's a 3. If he's not a communicator and a creative person, he's immature. Not definite, but she's having a problem with this. I said, well, because you got a little boy you're in love with instead of a man. All right. So the 3 is communication. It's great for PR, getting the word out. Now, if you were just doing, sensitive to another person in the 2 year, think of the 3. I'm going to have a party. A lot of people have parties in the 3 year. And even, there were parties on Zoom. I just did a social event, and I taught, of all things, I never taught it before, but I went to people who did it, laughing yoga. It's very catchy. I'll explain it another time. I'll ask Kathy if I can do that for 5 minutes or so. All right. So the 3 year, let's have fun. And let's also, communication and creativity. That's important because, look, I know everybody was talking about challenges of the new media. I'm a slowpoke with that. I really am. It took years to get on Facebook, even Zoom. I finally, this year was the first year I did Zoom, and I have people tell me, when are you going to teach on Zoom? I have to do baby steps, and maybe, when my universe is supporting me to think about community and creativity. So you can get a lot done in the 3 years, especially, oh my God, your projects, okay? And enjoy, sometimes we work so hard. We have to remind ourselves to enjoy. Even in COVID, they were stressing, go out, take a walk. You don't have to just think, you got to go out there. There's air, even if you live in the city. Take a walk, see Central Park, or if it's not too crowded, or just around your block. So 3 is that great energy for that. Now 4, personal year. And that took, oh wait, who just said something? It's hard. I'm not really looking at, oh, she's certified. Oh, how great. I didn't know you get it. That's from Rosa. Oh my God, I got to laugh with Rosa. Oh my God, that's great. Maybe we'll both do a laughter thing for you. I'm laughing already. All right. So we're going to the 4 personal year. One of the things we say in the 4 personal year is, don't leave your job unless you have another. It's like not the year to leave and take the risk. You could do that in the 5 year or the 3. In the 3 year, you're promoting your resume, all that stuff. The 4 year, which we've all experienced, it's just show up and do the work. You're not going to ask the raise. You're going to say, all right, I'm going to have long hours at work for the 4 year. Thank God you have a job, because the 4 year, if you don't have a job, it's stressful. It's like not that, but the discipline. So the 4 years, you get more done than you actually think. Okay. It's not your grandiose year where I'm getting the kudos. It's more like show up, keep your mouth shut, and do the work. Not always. Would it be an Uber for? Yeah, she's right. I'll get to that. That's a good question, Pam. The 4-year, and let me just talk personal and I'll get to that effects of the, she was right. Okay. It's so weird because you got to read it while you're talking, and how do you answer? No one heard the question. So structure and order, discipline, and even the thing about, think about it, we had police in the when we had riots and stuff, order, discipline, structure, looking at the math. The whole world's on a budget. The whole world's on a budget. There's still a lot of money out there. And you want to know something? You know, when you get older, you realize it's not the end of the world. I remember New York, Ford to New York. New York City was going bankrupt. I think it was the 70s. I was living in Vermont, but my sister was in New York. And New York City asked the federal government for help. And the Post was, the headline was, Ford to New York City, drop dead. Now, he didn't say drop dead. He just said, we're not giving you money. People are like, you know, we need this money. Within 2 years. Now, that's why I say, don't worry about all this COVID stuff. People invent things. Within 2 years, New York City, out with the old manufacturing, in came the financial service industry. We didn't even have it. We had the finance guys, but they weren't like kings. They became a huge amounts of money came into New York City. And I hate it when I see people say, New York will never recover. Forget it. We will. I'm a New Yorker. You got to be, yes, it's hard. But look, London recovered. They built, I keep talking about London because I once read somebody and her relative during the bombing of London. And I sunk and I was crying. And I couldn't believe the feeling I had about being underground during that bombing, and that it was a mess. Because for me, I said, I read about it. What do I know? But I felt it. So, and these other worlds that had, we look at Yemen and we look at all these horrible things that are happening. So you can do it. So rebuild. So this is a time to rebuild. And we're looking, rebuilding, it would be incredible that maybe there's summer school projects you could do online, right? Because I always felt, why does school end and they never have it? Like, there's some kids who like to study, not everyone, let them play, their athletes, that's great. But maybe they have a little research they could do over the summer. They invent things. So we are for the 4-year, you're gonna look at your budget. You're gonna not go out as much. Yes, as Pam said, she's in a 4 personal year. Is she affected by the 4 universal year? Yes, she's got a double whammy, but it could be good. Maybe she writes a book. She's got a double whammy, but that's her discipline. Now, she may have a lot of work that she did on her own. Yeah, you're not in the money yet, but next year you could be. Don't worry, write your book. But you did some kind of thing where you're like, I just gonna, how do I put it? Just show up. Now, yes, we showed up in our house, but I showed up on Zoom and I was stunned because I was so, I was resistant, okay? But the discipline, first time you do it, like, where's it? I'm on the phone, other people on a computer, they say hit the right button, but it's at the bottom, but you do it. And the same thing with this, we're like, all right, where was I for? I know there's a way, but I forgot. There's a way to shut off the chat things on my bottom because I distract me because I don't know where I am. I'm in the 4 personal year. Okay. So the 4 could get a lot done. You got that new job and you're doing those long hours, and then the next year you're there like, wow, good for you. You're getting a raise. You did all this hard work and you proved yourself. Okay. Now the 4-year is rigid. We're in this rigid thing, locked up in a box. Nobody wants to be in a box. But if I don't, discipline's an interesting word because we love and hate that word. Okay. Oh boy. We all have to come to terms with that word. And I'm going to be honest, I think a lot of us are disciplined in certain things that we don't realize, and other things that we want to be disciplined in, we're not. Like, I'm not gonna, ugh, I'm not gonna practice an instrument. I've tried, but I'm like, I can't do that every day. The other people who can do it, they're great at it. Dancers, I gotta dance every day. But maybe you do something where you're working on a business thing. Like it's we do a lot of disciplines that we don't realize. Have running a family is a big discipline. I realized also I'm not always. I realized maybe I was single because I didn't think I would want to wake up this every day this very early and get the kids running. Yes, and I have one, so maybe I'm too spoiled. But that's a discipline. So whatever it is, that structure, that order of 4. And we are also, I want to get it it's building a foundation, the builder, earth. Now, if you're in a 5 personal year, that's what you added. And next year we will be in a 5. Sometimes the 5 people will say you're too scattered. You're running in different directions because the 5, in like a life path or your month and day would be like that. But I always say, just say you're a Renaissance person, those people who are very focused, like a 4, laser beam focus. The 5, like, all right, I did that routine. Now I'm off to the next thing, next subject. All right. So the 5, it's kind of exciting. It's a flirty, yes. So is the 3. Now the 3 and the 5, if you want to do some dating, but not get serious, great. You're just going to be very social for the 5. Next year's very social year. So there's going to be parties on the street, maybe. I don't know what to say, but it's an expansion of business, expansion of everything. I keep hearing outer space in my brain. Now I saw the other day, I don't even remember if it was NASA or private, the astronauts who went up there. So maybe there's some energy with outer space next year with that exploration. So it's a great time for that exploration, and try to do different things next. If you're in the 5 personal year, and also next year, we will be called upon to do some new things, new ways of thinking. Now, of course, there's going to be with the vaccine, they're already, before they found the vaccine, pros and cons. I'm not a vaxxer, this and that. I just say, listen to everybody's opinion, but I really don't think Bill Gates really cares about my whereabouts and putting a chip in me. I really don't think. There's not as much control as people think. I personally believe. If you believe in that, that's fine. But there's also the year of the 5 could be all over the place. So maybe people take odd jobs, Well, I'm doing my eBay and now I have another job and this. So you'll find your way. And it's just going to be a lot more people oriented. And then if you're in a personal year of the 6, okay, we're getting up to 6. It's home and family. Great time. You don't have to, but if you want to move, more like in rent, you can rent and move anytime you want. But if you want to buy a home, the number 6 is perfect. You could buy and sell in the 1 year. The 4 years okay, but you may not get that price you want. But the 6, the issues will be home and family, even about your dog being sick, taking care of your mother. The issues is home and family. My numerologist told me, and she thought it was odd that she said, I had a business trip to San Francisco doing an expo years ago. And she said, but Joan, that is a year that you do a trip connected to family. Now, what happens? My sister said, Joan, I'm going to be in San Francisco the same time as you for this film event. And my oldest sister said, look, I got a timeshare. I never used this thing. So I roomed in my other sister's timeshare with my sister, who was on a business trip in my 6th year about travel with family. I was blown away. And it's the hearth energy. It's like, instead of 5, you're going to run around. You're going to do spontaneous trips. 3 is very spontaneous. do fun things like that. But the 6 is like, I just want to stay home. Now here we're forced, not everybody can handle being home, but I go outside and actually what I've been doing, I don't mean to talk about myself, but this may be good therapy for people. With the mask, I live in Connecticut, but I started to explore with a friend who already had COVID and we were tested, these little historic little towns in Connecticut, and they're by the water, which I've never seen. I've lived here, but I don't know Connecticut. I'm not a native. So you can do spontaneous trips if you're in the 5-year. Now the 6-year, you can renovate your home. It could be, oh, I always needed to get the kitchen done. When am I going to do it? All of a sudden, the universe is going to say, we support you. Everything falls into place. I love that word, when it falls into place. You're hitting your head against the wall. I don't get it. Now, I will be in my 6th year next year. And it's funny. I swear I would never do, but I did. I got addicted to the cell phone. Not calling up friends, not texting. And all my friends say, well, aren't you doing my meditation of this and studying this teacher? I said, no, I look up real estate. I'm not a realtor, but I go, if I wanted to move a bigger place or whatever, a different place, where would I go? Now, it's very interesting because I got obsessed with looking at real estate in different states. But the part of me is because I'm single, I go, but all I really want, I don't want to, even if I had the money, I don't want to live by myself in a house. I want to live with love, whether it's pets, a husband, even a guy who has kids or something. So I have this urge of nesting for next year. Okay. So the nesting, it starts, what we're going to do in our next year, it starts in October, little inklings of it. Okay. So I'm like, oh, how would I love watching those home design shows and things. And so next year, I think I will be in that hearth energy. Now, also taking care of, you take care of your garden, you take care of relatives, anything like that. So it's a very nurturing, you nurture younger people or spouse. So if you're in the 6 and you want to move or renovate, good time. Now we're going to get to the 7. 7 is the lifelong student and teacher. It's introspective. Think of yoga, meditation. It's not the year you push. It's the year that you let things come to you. You did, there were times, we're like, I got to get out there. I got to push. I got to promote myself. There are other times you're like, come to me. I'm just going to go into my meditations. Doesn't mean you spend the whole, all right, I shouldn't say that. The 7 is the Sabbath year, your year of rest. Unfortunately, you're not going to rest the whole year. So even if you want to, you can't. But it's the year where you finally get that vacation and you don't bring work with you. That's really important. I remember in college, a professor said, it's a discipline to relax and nobody teaches it. Sometimes you get more work done when you take the break. I used to take breaks. I worked corporate in New York, and I always made sure I went out to lunch. I even had a yoga class or something in lunch. And sometimes you go, oh, I can't. I did the bookkeeping. I can't figure out this problem where you got to call someone, you can't get them. I would take that break, feel refreshed. And I go, it's right there. But if I stayed at the office with the phone, eating lunch, you're never going to get it. You have to enjoy that quiet inner work because subconsciously you're working, but you have to do this rest. It's a great time to take a class in the 7 vibration. It's a great time to teach. It's an analytical year. Now each number has its little, on a negative side, it could be a little depressing. But that's okay because we have our moods, and having maybe a negative viewpoint gives us insight. It's not like I don't do the judgment. You're wrong. How did you think that? It's an insight. And maybe you're allowed to have your feelings, but sometimes you realize it's going to pass. But what can I do? Maybe I could study how to get out of depression. So that would be interesting. So the 7, it's it's introspective. The 7 is a very psychic number. I'm born on a 25, which is a 7. And as I said before, no one believes me, but I was quiet as a kid. It's just in your head too much. And the 7, that personal year, please. Oh, I know. And we just mentioned Paula from Awaken Fear. I remember when Paula and another friend was in there 7 years, and I said, they got to rest. Paula broke her ankle and she was out of commission because she wasn't taking time to rest. Another friend of mine got a car accident in the same spot because she wasn't planning rest. So if you don't rest, the universe will force you. It's better you, even if you're going to stay home and read a book, it's better to take that time than force it. Now, good thing you're resting and taking some classes and feeling, let the universe just come to me, because the next year you're in the 8. Okay. You want to make money? You research. Maybe you got a new talent, you can push it. Now, just because you're in the 8 year doesn't mean you're going to make the money. You may lose money. Okay. But your theme of the vibration in your personal year is money and organizing at a big level and doing that work of looking at the reality. In the 7, you were looking at the intellect and ideas, but in the 8, you're down to earth. Another good time to do real estate, okay? Because it's grounded. So in that 8, you get a lot done, we hope. So 7, you had the business plan, you wrote the business plan, and the 8, you get the backing, okay? And you have to, from concept person to getting it done. Now, I'm more of a concept person. This is an old term. They don't even use it now. Now they say ADD, you're not going to get it done. But the grounded, what are the details? I worked with a friend who's a coach, and I was her guinea pig before she went out and did it. And I could see the project getting done, but I have no idea how to get to it. She works backwards. All right, Joan, what's the first step? What's the second step? What's the third step? That's not my thinking, because as a psychic, I see the future, it's done, but I don't know how to do it. So it was very interesting. So in the number 8, you want to be also, it's a focus. It could be a little stubborn. And, but you're going to I'm not budging. The 8, and you're going to have your managerial traits, personality for, maybe you'll la-di-da-di-la, I'm not saying that right, in 7, but the 8 is like, we got to get it done. And this is how we're going to do it. So that's very interesting to see, there's a time for conception and there's a time for fruition. So looking at you, I had an interesting thing in my 8 year. I'm kind of embarrassed, but I was looking at something in my bank statement, and I said, what the hell is this charge? Even if it was like a couple of dollars. And I went to them. I said, what's this charge for? I said, you always said that charge is for whenever I think if I took money out of the ATM, that wasn't their ATM, but I was already being charged from the ATM that wasn't there from the bank. So you get charged twice. So I was shocked. But in the 8 year, I noticed it. And then I got an invitation when I was in my 8 year. It was like a free lunch, and we're going to go over retirement money, something like that. And I said, well, I don't know anything about it, but I'll look. But I learned that I had a little pension from a job, that one of the things they said was kind of amazing. They said, people don't realize that if you take your retirement money before a certain age, whatever, it's going to be taxed. So you have to be aware of that. I became aware. The 8 year, study money. Okay. That's kind of cool. So that's really interesting, because it was time for me to focus on that. Now, the 9 year, which we reviewed before, this is going to be real. We did mention it before. I'm now at the completion. Okay. Now think of it. I organize things. 9 is letting go, let go, finish completion. It's great for artists. You're going to have your art show, you're going to have published, you're going to donate with time or a check to humanitarian. You're thinking about the world, even though now we're thinking about the world and doing that. It's more of, it's very watery. The 7 is very watery. They actually suggest that if you take the dream vacation over water or by water, same thing with the 9, earthy energies like the 8, maybe you're going to be on the mountains or something. The 9's watery, and it's you know, as I said before, things leave. Maybe your friend moves to another country, or maybe the job ends, or maybe you're just bored and want the job to end, and you realize next year I'm going to start looking for something new. I've had people also tell me, you know, they just doing the decluttering. They just say, well, I was here for so many years. I don't know. It's just a feeling. It's feeling. Okay. But the universe will support you with that. So a lot of times I go, you know, you're doing what you're supposed to do. Don't worry about it. But when you fight against these energies, it makes your life harder. So I tell people, yeah, you can start something new in the 9 year, but it's a year that ends, but it may not last. So you may have a job, but then it ends. Okay. So, but be open to, that's the meaning of the year. It's not the year of, you just met this guy, even though I met you know, you may meet someone, he's in the 9, but it doesn't last. As well, you met him in a year that ends things. But so being aware of it, you don't blame yourself so much. We have outside forces. The universe is, oh my goodness, just thinking about the energies of the universe. We don't understand it. And they're subtle, but they're strong. Pamela was talking about the lunar eclipses. Now there's an energy just of the moon with the tide. So there's energies we feel. So when you do this energy of just let that universal vibration, you know, be with you. Now I reviewed very basics of the numbers, but I want everyone now. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I have to look. Oh, I have 10 minutes. Oh, I didn't realize. I was going to ask people that. All right. So the 11, if you're in the 11 year, very idealistic about love. If you're in a 22 year, it's like the 4, but you manifest a dream. Okay, 10 minutes. Going with the flow and realizing that there's all cycles. Let me see if there's anything that life path. I'm not going to review your math, but if you want to see what you need to learn in your life, it's the month, day, and year of birth. And then you could review. Don't do it now. That's homework. But let's call it fun work. You're going to learn about yourself. Who am I? I have a 1 life path. When I added March 25th, 1953, it reduced to 1. That's about learning to be independent. I actually don't like it because I do a lot of things by myself, and I have 4 1s in my name, and I'm like, oh yeah, can't I do something with everything? But the 1 is about, I started my own business. Perfect. Now I'm going to talk about also, you're going to review that on your own. You could look it up, life path, do it on the internet. We reviewed numbers. I just want to say that when you look at your month and day, you have attributes of the numbers I talked about. Example, if you have an 8, you have managerial traits. So you may be someone who takes on a lot of responsibilities, right? Or 2, you're always in a partnership. You've never been single. The 2s have that. 5, you know, you're like, oh, you just change around. You go to California with $1 and you took a risk and now you're a star. The 5 is that kind of, that could be your month, that could be your day. And so I want everyone to just look at their month and day, because it will give you some energy, attitudes. I look at relationships. Oh, an 8 and 4 is someone who needs to do the schedule. They're workaholics, even at home. They need someone with a 3 or a 5 to take them away from that. You know, be a little spontaneous. You're so in this rut and you're so stubborn. Relax, change, walk the other way. So you want to do things like that. So that's kind of interesting. Now for next year, I did discuss the 5. We all will feel the 5. We'll be celebrating that there's expansion. And just the fact that I thought it was great that we had a push to get this done fast, the vaccine. Um, there'll be expansion of medical, okay? It's very fascinating about, we are drawing attention to, there'll be so many new innovating things. That's why I go, the kids today, they're going to invent things and have jobs we never heard of. There's kids have jobs I never heard of it. Even in theater, one guy's talking about a dramaturge. I said, what the hell is that? A PhD in this thing, and you got to have that for your play. And I'm like, boy, in the old days, you didn't have all that stuff. So there are inventions that are coming. So don't worry about it. And I think we put too much stress of this moment and of the fear. No fear, it's not the end of the world. I've had people arguing either way. In one day, socialism and what's the other thing? I forgot what it was called. The other thing, socialism and communism. Then I had the other person, fascism. I said, you know what? This is all crazy. None of that's happening, even if you think so. But it's not, So why are we into this fear? So 5, let's just have fun with these energies and respect. Yes, we need number 8. I need a 7 who's a yoga teacher. I need a, oh, Kathy, what's your number?
Oh, 214.
2. She was a married woman. She loves people. 214-5, and she likes change. This is a woman who had a path as a nurse and then went radical. So she had to try something new. That's how she is. What's your life path?
214, 1950.
All right, you add while I talk to Pamela. Pamela, what's your birthday?
127.
2 and 7 is the 9, big-hearted lady. And she was an artist, right? First of all, the 1 is great, independent, starting her own business. But weren't you a graphic artist, if I recall, or an artist?
Yeah, painter, then went into graphic. Yes.
Right. So 9 is very important because it's the art, self-expression. So, and it's also kind of humanitarian. So she wants to help people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I can't do this for all. I just wanted to pick the 2 ladies that we all know. Kathy, did you figure out your life path? In 1950, you said 19 is a 1 and a 9. That's a 6 plus a 2 is an 8. What was your day? Huh?
Joan, you also have 10 minutes for Q&A. So it's
so then I may
like
stop.
you don't have to finish in 5 minutes.
Okay. I don't mean to interrupt. I know everyone's going to ask me what their numbers mean. But all right, questions. Okay, let's go for questions. How do we do this? Do I hear it or do I read it?
Yeah, go ahead. Because there's lots of questions in the
in the chat. Okay, yeah. All right, you want me to review chat? Okay.
Unless if you want to raise your hand, that's another faster way to get there. Joan, can you see if people raise their hand?
I see one from Rosa. Her life path is an 11. Is it an 11 or a 2? It's definitely 11. Very idealistic about love, partnership, and relationships. It enhances the 2. You're sensitive to others. And she was a teacher and she stood up for people in her life. If you, each number. I'm a little lost on Radita's question. I'm not too clear in it.
Yeah, it's, you had at the beginning of your page, you were writing down the day plus the month and then as a whole number plus the year as a whole number. And then you separated out the total. And for me, like my question was just like, it's the same number in the end.
Yes,
how
it is.
I calculated. Okay. All right. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah. That was a good question. Anybody have a question that I didn't see? I'm trying to look at chat if I can get to it. Where is it? All right, the 8, you got to, it's about money, Rosa. It doesn't mean you make more or less, but you got to organize your money or make some, okay? I think one of the, all right, ask me a question. What's everyone's concerns?
I just have one question. So when you are talking about these different years and like you were making the example with the kitchen, does it mean that if I am a year after, let's say that you said with 6, that's when you do all the renovations or whatever
You
happens,
don't have
right?
to. Yeah. Oh,
I
that's a
mean,
good question.
more likely. And then you're
Yeah.
7, does it mean I have to wait 9 years for?
No. Don't worry about it, because we're always doing things. Now, also this 6 is a, if you have a partner, I'll look at both numbers. I'll say, well, your husband's in the 6, you're in the 5. Are you doing renovation? Because you sometimes you have 2 people or connected to a home, okay? Or your parents, you're living there. Somebody got an actual life 33. Angelo, you actually got a life path of 33. All right, that's Christ-like energy, Martin Luther King, very rare. That's the avatar. That's the Christ-like energy, the humanitarian. Oh boy, that's a heavy-duty number.
Is that really?
He really
Wait
got
a
that?
minute. Well, it's May 21st, 1969. I did that wrong?
I'm not going to add it right now. May 21st, 5 and 3
Yeah,
is
that's
8.
5, 8, and 1969.
What is 1969? Is it 19? Is
Year of my birth.
No, I know, I'm adding. 19 is a 1. A 1. That's an 8 plus 5 and 3. 8 maybe 16. You're a 7. I think it's 33. I think you're a 7, which is the 7 is a lifelong student and teacher and introspective. I'll add that later, but I did it fast. Now I wound up also, a friend of mine who wrote a numerology book. He taught me a fast way of doing things because he had to do it on the radio. Sometimes I just look at the month and day and I analyze the actual numbers in your birthday plus the personal year, because you got to do it in a minute. Because I think that's something that a lot of numerology books don't talk about. Just look at the month and day you're born. Like, I think mine's funny because I have the 7, lifelong student, teacher, introspective, depressed, but the 3 is kind of like the circus and the creative energy, which I'm lucky it balances me, it brings me out. I worked at the Renaissance Fair. How crazy is that? And then I did the party work, and I was shocked because they said, you know, I couldn't believe that I was doing this social energy for work. I mean, I was working corporate, then when I got a job to work a party, I said, there's such a thing, you know, so that's kind of funny. How does it look for a partnership with an 11 and a 7? Well, that's good, but you have to realize the 7 or the 1, sometimes they want their quiet time. Let them, you know, they could be moody. 11 is serious about relationships, but a 7 and a 1, sometimes you got to give them the man cave or the woman's womb cave, you know, something where I have to be recharged. I shut the phone, I don't talk. So if I have a partner, they're going to have to realize she just doesn't want to have a lot of energy of socializing. Doesn't mean it's all day, but just give them time to recharge. Other people recharge by being constantly on the move. The 5s are like, whoa, they need that excitement, the adrenaline rush. Okay. Things like that. You know, what's interesting as looking at kids, because people sometimes, you know, every kid needs structure and order. They don't. The 8s and 4s love structure and order. Sometimes routine is so damn boring. Give the kid a break. I used to love it when you change time or something like that. Other people can't stand it. So we need everything. And we're all going to go through a cycle. And we're all going to say, oh, I lost everything. I gained everything. I fell in love. I this and that. Same thing with the country. It's always going to be cycles. It's not the end of the world. And if it is the end of the world, yes, I worry about global warming and I have dreams of floods. It's a new world that we enter, okay? Different realms, different vibrations. But just try to, you know, we have more than we think we have. We you know, so let's try to, you know, I read about the Navajos or the Native American Indians suffering. There's these elders, there's no food, you can't even deliver the food to them, you know. These things we have, you know, just try to, like, you have more than you think. We'll get through this, and we're going to be smarter for it. Can you talk about, let me see if I could get that thing, where is it? Yeah, 5 5 is the one that you're going to have people tell you you have ADD, but you may be someone who has to do a lot of different variety, especially at a job. You're on the phone, then you're doing promoting people, then you're interviewing people, then you're doing the bookkeeping. You wear a lot of different hats, but accept it. And you like change. You don't like monotony. You're going to get bored. The person with the double 11, you may not make up your mind next year. That you got to be a seesaw, but that's okay. I always tell people, if you can't make up your mind, it's not time to make up your mind. But numbers are beautiful. Yes, you can. They steal things with numbers. They're not true. They're true. But numbers give us order. And I don't know if I'm not going to describe this. I saw on Facebook once the original numerical numbers were like a 1 and had a right angle. It had a little tip on it. The 2 had 2 right angles. You have to look it up. The 3 had 3 right angles. The 4 had 4 right angles. I thought that was fascinating. That was amazing. And the invention of zero was a big thing. When I was a kid, they had a book when they invented zero. I remember I wanted to read it. The concept of zero did not exist for a long time. And it changed the way we think. It's really strange. So, but I just want everyone to put an intention. They're going to have a great year. America's going to have a great year. And the world is going to recover from this. We recovered from the flu in the 1918. So it's going to be good. These inventions coming. These are things that we can't believe. I had one premonition that I love is I saw blindness. I mean, these high-tech things you could put so people can see. So they'll be amazing. We just have to find other things. And I think everybody has to go and just do with that beautiful meditation we had from Kathy. Thinking about how the air comes in. Think about how we're going to just receive and accept what we need. It's all good. And if you have an obstacle, go deeper. And maybe it's the timing. You know, it's unbelievable. A client, we keep, every time this year, they're in the 9 year, every time we go to sign for a house, the last minute, it gets, you know, the real estate transaction falls apart. I said, because you're in your 9 year, wait till next year. Sure enough, by February the next year, the one they signed and got their home. So these are like weird little subtle energies, you know? So try to like understand yourself. Don't get too hung up about this year means I have to find love. I didn't find love. It's about relationships or whatever, but just go with we're everything. And you know, be thankful that we're in that thankful period. So I just want to end with, I'm thankful that I am sharing this knowledge, and I'm thankful for this opportunity, and these are wonderful, wonderful people. And let's just be thankful. We're all healthy, even if we have our illnesses, we're here, you know, we made it. And just be thankful. We have friends, and that's it. Let's just, I'm thankful for whatever the universe wants to give me, even if I don't want it.
Thank you.
All right,
Joan.
everyone.
Is there any last question that's just out there that you need to ask Joan?
Ask even about next year and the year after, you know, what's happening in the world. Maybe that's something we have to look at more. I didn't go as deep as I'd like. I think premonitions for global is not the easiest thing to do. But the word freedom, you know, I had a dream. This sounds crazy. I woke up to a song about Rasputin. He was a mystic in Russia with the Tsar, and the Tsar and Rasputin too. So I'm singing this song, just the tune. I said, I have no words, but I'm singing Rasputin, Rasputin. And I kept asking, why am I doing this? I looked at it. I saw the word Putin in Rasputin. And I said, does that mean possibly that the message may, because Putin announced, I'm going to be your president till the day I die. Is it possible his reign won't be forever? That's what I thought. Doesn't mean I'm perfect, but I said, why am I hearing that? But I tried to, you know, play with it. And that's a lot about it, psychic, you know, I'm going to be honest, I was wrong. I was in New York Magazine. I was right and wrong at the same time. My interpretation was a little off. Before Biden got the nomination, I heard very strongly, the vice president takes over the White House, and the White House is very conservative. Now, I said, does that mean Biden? Because he's more conservative than Warren and Bernie and Yang and all those other people. And then I heard the White House is very conservative. And if you have a Republican Senate, it's a conservative government. And then I heard conservative White House. I said, does that mean Pence takes over from Trump? And so I misinterpreted it. But the original premonition was right. The vice president takes over, and that's it. So play with your inner things, and it's you know, everything's going to work out. Everything works out. I say that in the morning, and there's a lot of stress, we have traumas, tragedies, but it all works out somehow. And so have a blessed and beautiful Thanksgiving. Even if you're by yourself, you have wonderful friends, and we're all thinking of each other. So let's just put that intention out. Let's all be healed. The whole world needs healing. I'll drink to that with tea.
Thank you so much, Joanne.
Thank you.
Everyone have a wonderful night. Thank you for
Thank you.
showing up, and hopefully we'll see you next month.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good night.